Hello, it is Jay Foss. I am back with another Empires and Puzzles content video. This one will be discussing the Monster Island after it's complete. Especially since this was beta, I wanted to wait until this was complete and sort of let everything sink in and what happened and all that. I'll go over some basic strategies here, some problems with it, and what I think can be done to improve it. Just real quick, I'll give an update on my channel. I'm in the process of a move right now, and I've had a minor medical thing that's sort of turned into a moderate, well, maybe slightly more than minor medical thing. So I'm behind on everything in Empires and Puzzles in terms of content and the stuff I like to create behind the scenes. But yeah, I'm getting caught up slowly. But in terms of Monster Island, obviously we're in an alliance that kills 14 stars easily, and I'll talk briefly about our experience in it. For me, it started out kind of fun. You know, we're exploring the map, we're finding stuff. And I will say we kind of knew what was going to happen. We have players that played it in Puzzle Combat. We had a basic strategy that pretty much worked. The whole second half of the event, there was basically nothing to do. When hordes popped up, we'd have, multiple people around them ready to hit it instantly. As you can see, our whole map is uncovered here, and I think that's sort of where it was disappointing in a lot of ways to me, because a large portion of the event was just wait, because everything's dead and everything's discovered and everything's collected, and that is just not very fun. Now, I do think there's potential here. But ultimately, in this beta, what came down to who won, and this sort of goes into the strategy, is who discovered hordes the fastest at the beginning, which factors into huge time zone advantages that you can see reflected in the end results as well. But basically, even if you don't know what the result's going to be, it was already decided by who found and killed the hordes most quickly. Not the apex monsters, not the big monsters, 'cause those 10 don't respawn, but it basically came down to who opened up the map and killed the hordes. So for us, the apex monsters, obviously Gypsy Danger is the second best alliance for Mythic Titan behind the Avengers. We killed all the apex monsters in like 4 or 5 hits, and I don't mean 4 or 5 hits per player, I mean 4 or 5 hits total as a team. So a couple guys will go in there, do about 400,000 hits, or 400,000 per hit, and it would be done pretty quickly. So I think that's it's just disappointing that an event that is actually kind of cool and can be complex, it doesn't really matter how good, there just isn't enough stuff to kill. I mean, it's just literally waiting around with nothing to do for the majority of the event. I would personally like to see apex monsters respawn. It's been suggested that you give them infinite health like in the Mythic Titan, but they need to drop the keys for the chests. Obviously you could work around that, but yeah, it was kind of weird. But ultimately it literally came down to who found hordes the fastest, and since there's a big time zone advantage in that, I did not really like that. So in terms of basic strategy, what we did based on what we knew going in, having beta players and talking to players who play in Puzzle Combat, is we did try to go out and find all the hordes, and focus on the hordes quickly. We basically barely touched the apex monsters until nothing else was left, and then when basically all the map was discovered and all the hordes were gone, we would kill the apex monsters. Now, did we have some mistakes? Could we have been better coordinated? Could there have been more motivation? Yeah, sure. I mean, it was beta, so we got 42nd, but like I said, the difference was just basically who found the hordes first. Yeah, so we got 42nd. And we were doing about 400,000 per hit on the apexes. So some basic tips here that I would say is you do want to send people out. You want to find the horde, assuming it doesn't change for the next ones. You want to find the hordes, get the hordes down quickly so they can spawn up and you get the points from again. Because ultimately that's what wins it, because all the alliances in this bracket are going to be killing the apex monsters regardless. So for the apex monsters, we fought them like Mythic Titans. You basically go in, do a hit like you would a Mythic Titan, go back to base, and then someone else could hit it. Or you could go back and hit it again. I actually only got one attack on an apex monster, but as an alliance, you gotta remember, as an entire alliance killing 10 apex monsters, we probably only had 50 total hits on the apexes, and some people went after them early. One of them early, and yeah, so as far as hordes seem to be, you have to find the hordes early to get them as many kill opportunities in. I basically ran stuff like this. I could fight, 8 to 10 hordes without having to go back to base. As you can see, I use Ludwig and Ariel every single time. I kind of flipped it around, well, almost every single time. And Ariel's still at full health and all that. So I'd start each match by giving Ariel mana to charge her. That would give me the overheal protection. Obviously, overhealing is the big factor here because you avoid taking permanent damage if your overhealing is up. So it's almost essential. And having one of these teams that can stay out for a long time attacking hordes without having to return to the campfire is very important. And I didn't lose any heroes, obviously, and the hordes I was killing in about 2 to 2.5 minutes. But I think the hordes are way too easy. I was disappointed time didn't play a factor into it either. Beating it in 2 minutes is essentially the same as beating it in 10 minutes, but if it doesn't change, you basically just, if you don't have a lot of heroes, put Gull and Bursty in there, and then a bunch of hit all. Start the match giving Gull and Bursty mana, and then it's pretty much easy street. The hordes are very easy. I did one with autoplay. That's actually how Malin took a little bit of damage. I tried one with 4 stars, and that was no problem at all. So I'd like to see the hordes a little more challenging. I'd also like to see the apex monsters respawn. To have an event where there's 10 big monsters on the map and you only as a team get to hit them 40 to 50 times is extremely disappointing, and it just feels, I mean, the difficulty of this event for some of the alliances in this bracket is like literally in terms of the combat, not the mechanics like the exploring and finding the hordes and coordinating, but the actual combat is, like a map stage essentially, if not easier, because it's, yeah, I mean, we knew about the overhealing. Yeah, I was just very disappointed that basically the second half of the event, it's just whoever was on and could get to the horde first could hit it. We had players that were trying to use energy last half, but like literally couldn't because there was nothing at all to do or hit or attack at any point, even though they were checking frequently to get on. And that's definitely a massive frustration. But yeah, those are sort of my thoughts. I'd like to see the apexes respawn. The basic strategy is find the hordes quickly, kill them as quickly as possible so they can respawn as many times as possible. This would include a lot of people going out exploring and a lot of people killing hordes. You can honestly ignore the apex monsters till there's literally nothing else to kill. Ultimately, when the winner, I'm sure, did that. I'm sure they sent everyone out early, down the hordes, coordinated exploration of the map, and then ignore the apexes till there's nothing else to hit. That's the basic strategy. And live in a time zone to where you have a lot of people awake when it actually starts, because you need to get out. If you can have all 30 people on and basically have 15 explore the map and the other 15 kill hordes right at the start, you've already won, or at least ranked very high. Assuming you can kill the apexes easily, so I'd like to see it get harder. To have such a big event and literally have half the team sitting there with nothing to do for, or having the team sit there with nothing to do for half of it, and then not even get a good rank is honestly surprising and disappointing in terms of difficulty and design. But it is what it is. We'll see if they make some improvements. Pay attention to your teams that are going out to fight hordes. Not having to turn to base is a big deal if you can get 8 to 10 attacks in with very little risk before returning to base, and this was the setup I used. So hopefully we see some improvements. I do think the potential is high. I was excited about it going in. I had played it in Puzzle Combat, but I have a very low account in Puzzle Combat that I don't play anymore. But hopefully we see some improvements. And if you did need some ideas for basic strategy, that's sort of the basic strategy, at least for the higher end. But that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Hopefully it's a little harder. Thanks for watching.